I'm on the lines with Winston Shrout. His website, Winston Shrout Solutions in Commerce, is just a mainstay for those who want to have an idea of sovereignty, of what it is to be human. And he is calling all of you amazing humans to his 6th annual Members Only event. That is from June 5th to the 7th of this year at the Grotto Sanctuary and Conference Center in Portland, Oregon. I have been there. It is magical. It is special. And it's going to be even more so with Winston and all of you great gardeners in commerce coming there from June 5th to 7th. Winston, it sounds like it's going to be a fantastic event, and you're already up to your 6th annual members event.
Wow.
How excited are you for this?
Yeah,
you know?
That's quite an accomplishment.
Right? You know, you have people that have signed up that are tilling the soil of their minds in commerce and law, and that is quite a dedication. It's like, you know, signing up for the Army of Freedom.
Yeah, kind of. I think that because everybody is, locked into this duality thing, we talk about freedom versus slavery and all those kind of things. But, when you come to a self-realization, a lot of those words fall away. You just are, I am, so. At some point, certainly the purpose of Solutions in Commerce is to help people, to come to that, self-realization. And then, at some point, we stop labeling ourselves as, free or sovereign or Republicans or Democrats or whatever. And then we just start being people. I mean, that's where we need to be. You just need to be people and stop all this other stuff.
Yes. And I guess, that's so true. And, well, Jesus says, know thyself, right? And so in today's terms, what do you think that is, Winston? What is it to know thyself?
Well, we have a long tradition stemming from Europe of creating titles. For instance, what people call their family name or their surname actually originated from the concept of titles, which again, based on the false premise, and that was, the history of Europe and King John and the Vatican and taxes and all that foolishness. It got down to the point that people started to assume that it was necessary to have a title, and so we've locked in on that, and to our demise. So to speak, because of the implications that come from accepting a title such as a surname. And so, at some point, maybe we can get past all that and, start to function at the level for which we were created. And so we're trying, to illuminate. I guess we're the Illuminati. Anyway, we're trying to eliminate people to the extent that, they can start to see some of those things and act accordingly. In the meantime, we run into a few problems, a few hiccups, in commerce and so forth and so on. And so we have to deal with those. But ultimately, the goal is no more problems. That way we don't have to come up with any more solutions.
Well, it's interesting. You talk about knowing thyself, and you go back to the nature of the name. And, when you watch some of these old movies, it's like, I'm, William of Suffolk, whatever, of the town and the family, and how it tries to anchor us into this 3D. And so breaking away makes all of those terms irrelevant. And wow, that new space that we're in is quite a wonderland once we let that go. And that's an exciting thing, and I think also could be kind of anxiety for folks because where's their identity then?
Yes, yeah, that's it really gets to be a problem because we link our own identity to some other concept, and so we lock ourselves in and we limit ourselves when we do that. And so it'd be important for people to realize, that solutions in commerce or, resolutions of problems anywhere you find them, we lock ourselves in and we block our ability to become, more enlightened because we limit ourselves by what we call ourselves.
Yes. Right. And what we call ourselves, drives into our mind that belief and all of the little memes that go along with it. We can really create our own prison and our own hell in a way.
It's unfortunate, but we're trying to work our way past some of that. And I think as we keep going along here, more and more of the population is becoming much more enlightened. And so, that's been one of the effects, that we had hoped for when we started all this business of seminars and DVDs and all this kind of thing, was to simply, get people to look inward and to realize who and what they are in the reality of things and avoid the illusion.
Right. I love what you say about your topic preview for your upcoming Gardeners members only annual event coming up from June 5th to 7th. You were talking about you're going to talk about new things and some renewal subjects, meaning that things always are building upon the old and changing, and so it's new and renewal subjects.
Yeah, we're going to expand on some of the things we spoke of last time. Certainly there's been, based upon some of that we discussed in our last seminar, we've been able to expand on that, and it appears, talking to, the guys I talked to, this procedure that we've used with this authentication process has application many other places. And in this particular seminar, we're going to apply that technology to the mortgage and to the foreclosure problems. And I think we got a ringer.
Wow. So you're talking about I'm sorry, I just stumbled all over that. Authentication of the certificate of live birth, sir? Is that
we can expand on that, but also we're using the authentication process into other areas, which shows a great promise, and putting together perhaps 3 separate concepts in regards to mortgages, deeds of trust, and all those kind of things, and also bringing in the concept of the revised Article 9 of the Uniform Commercial Code, where it talks about perfecting a security interest. I believe now we can, in regards to property, I believe that we can truly perfect that security interest. And then once we have that perfected security interest, we can hold it against any and all claims. So that's what we're working towards.
And what will you be speaking about when you move into affidavits of ownership and land patents?
Well, first off, the concept of ownership is on the private side. Now, when we start talking about living quarters or houses or homes and all those kind of things, we're talking about substance. We're talking about something that has reality. And then the system certainly has reduced the reality into titles. And so when we start to talk about ownership, we're going to go back on the private side. And then on the public side, we're going to deal with the titles in such a way that we take control of those titles in an effort to perfect a security interest under the Uniform Commercial Code on the public side, so that no public claims can be made against the property. Because when you get into the real side, the only thing that can really do an attack on real property is, hurricanes, earthquakes, and fires.
Right.
And so when you start talking about reality versus the title side, what we're needing to do is satisfy both sides of the equation, much as we had done with our long form birth certificates that we had talked about last time. So now we're going to take some of those principles and technologies and move them into other areas so that we can take, so we can deal with the title side of things, so we can deal with the public. And so, I think everybody by this time in America and across the planet had realized this whole mortgage foreclosure process is a conspiracy against people. And, as we've tried to point out so many times, in the fiction world, and all of commerce is in the fiction world. It's all done in fiction. It's all done in fraud, again, because we're dealing with, we're dealing with measurements, in other words. But in any event, fictions are good in their place. However, if a fiction injures a real man or woman, then we got a problem. And so that's what we've had to do, is to learn how to deal with those situations as they come up. And so in this seminar here, I think we've got some pretty good suggestions for people. And more and more evidence is coming out. I'll put it that way, just how rotten and corrupt the system is that we have. And so we're on the one hand, we're learning how to protect people.
Yes.
And then at some point, as I have done in the past, then I go for corrections of those who seem to want to live in the criminal world. I mean, my God, just this last week, a fellow called me up with something, and he told me some things, and I got so agitated I was yelling in the telephone. He had discovered something.
Right.
About the banking system, which I'm not going to put on the air, certainly, but he had discovered something about how the accounts were being handled in the banking system.
Okay.
And it made me so mad. It took me about a half hour to calm down.
Because they never stop, do they, Winston?
Oh, no.
They never stop.
They just keep it up and up and up. But I think I'm in a position to take a serious swipe at that problem, and I will. So
absolutely.
Anyway, everybody be calm and collected and everything. But anyway, getting back to the seminar, we're not going to be agitated. We're going to try to be peaceful and happy and have a good time.
Oh, I had such an amazing time. I think it was almost 2 years ago already, the way time flies, when I visited the 4th annual. Well, it's up to the 6th annual members-only event from June 5th to the 7th at the Grotto Sanctuary and Conference Center in Portland, Oregon. It is absolutely spectacular. You can call 971-333-1005. That's 971-333-1005. Excuse me, darlings, for all the details, talking to Melissa, Missy, to the great folks that work with Winston there up in Portland, Oregon, to make sure that you're going to be at the annual members-only event. And that's so special because it is just a few, maybe 20, 30 very dedicated people that are drilling down into this information, that are there to bond and to share their stories and to learn. So it's just a unique and very special sanctuary that Winston is creating for you to get the latest and the greatest in this technology of commerce.
Yeah, I'm always amazed at who shows up for those. Well, we have some very talented people that come. And I always tell everybody the first thing, I said, get to know the guy sitting next to you.
Right.
It's some of the people, who have been involved in this for a long time, who are out making the things work successfully. Right. They come to these, and many times they share, nuances or different things they've done to help. They're the boots on the ground. I'm just the talking head. But a lot of,
yeah, right.
yeah. But a lot of these folks, in certain areas, have had a great deal of success, and so they share with us, how they did things, what they had to do, and so forth and so on. So it's a great sharing opportunity aside from what I have to say about things.
So now, because the technology has so many different applications, where do you find that there are opportunities that the technology is really set, that it really dials in, and what area of law do you think needs more perfecting? All of it, like you just said, the bankers are up to doing their craziness, etc. So there's always a challenge. Are there particular areas in law where this is dialed in and set, and other areas where it's still under development?
Well, first off, the word law is generally a misunderstood term. Law is simply a derivative of contract. And everything starts with a contract. Or, why would people interact if they did not have some agreement or contract? And so, people interact. They do this, they do that, in business or in their social relations and all those kinds of things. But they do it under agreement or contract. And as long as both parties are satisfied with the outcome, there is no such thing as law. The law only comes in if there's a breach of contract.
Right.
And so people get, talking about law this and law that and all these different forums and all this kind of stuff. Hey, if folks would simply be honorable in their agreements and their contracts, we wouldn't have any use for all this other foolishness. And so if you get back to, this Jesus that you mentioned, somebody ask him. The Pharisees, the lawyers, and all the people was tempting him and said, "What's the greatest of the laws?" And he says there's only two things. He says there's only two laws. He said, number one, to love God, and number two, to love your neighbor as yourself. He said all the law, all the prophets, basically rely upon those two things, and anything else that that comes, the difference in that is evil. So all these, you go down to these law libraries, and they're stacked up, file upon file, cabinet upon cabinet, shelves, books and all this kind of stuff. It's all a bunch of lies. And if people simply would get back to those two things that was mentioned,
yes,
all these law books and stuff would be good for nothing except for kindling for your campfires. That's all this stuff is. It's all pure BS.
Oh yes,
and
you're
so
absolutely right.
I mean, if you want, people ask me, Winston, how do you study law? I said, well, I take 2 or 3 law books and put them on the ground, and, put my head off and go to sleep. That's the best way I can think of to study law.
Law is what you go to as a last resort. There's as humans, we can live by our words.
Exactly. Like I say, when you start talking about love for God or love for the Creator or Source or whatever you say,
yes,
gratitude is the main element, within that. As a matter of fact, if you want to go a little woo-woo here, I had a friend. I had a friend, and he told me the following story. He had been in some kind of traffic accident. He'd been seriously injured and stuff. Anyway, as he was recovering, he said he had a visitor. And he said this visitor told him that he had come all the way across the universe to see him.
Right.
Now, this is kind of a weird-looking fellow. I guess he's kind of humanoid in form, but he said, for the part of him you could see, his face, he said one half of it was purple and the other side was white.
Okay.
Now, this is kind of a strange experience to start with, but anyway, the message that entity came all the way across the universe to deliver was one of gratitude.
Really?
Exactly. And so when we talk about, we are all created beings. You know, if you don't believe me, pull up your shirt and look at your belly button. We're all created beings. And so we have the best possible position that we could put ourselves into is gratitude to our Creator, however you perceive that Creator to be. Because it's your mindset, it's your attitude, you know, about that. Okay, so that's the first part. Right. And then Jesus said, hey, the second part's real simple. He said, you know, love your neighbor as yourself. And he said all the law and prophets hang on that. So why do we need all this stuff for? What it means is that we're not abiding by those two principles that was given to us 2,000 years ago. That's all it means.
Right.
So we need to change our attitudes. We need to change the way we do things and start to live in that mode, in that environment. And then all the rest of the stuff goes away. But in the meantime, I have to convince people of that. So we get together and have these seminars and look at the various opportunities that we have.
Oh, yes. Well, that's just the great opportunity to get together with like minds and to dig in, because it really takes dedication, like a consistent.
You have no idea the amount of energy that we produce.
Right. Absolutely.
I mean, when we have these seminars and the energy people bring and the energy we generate, hey, listen, we're blowing holes through the ionosphere with this stuff.
Yes,
I'm not kidding you.
No, I am with you. I am absolutely with you. And that is the great thing about when you all come together, you know, in a group, and just that energy that starts to swirl.
Oh, yeah.
Just incredible, Winston.
Oh,
really
yeah.
incredible.
Oh, yeah.
So, you guys, this is coming up next month already, and time is absolutely flying. It's from June 5th to the 7th at the Grotto Sanctuary in Portland, Oregon. Absolutely gorgeous there. Just so beautiful. Luckily, they have rain up in Portland, and so I'm down here in L.A., not so much. So it's going to be green, it's going to be lush, and so is going to be the conversation and the meeting amongst all of you at Winston's 6th Annual Members Event. The phone number to call, and also you can go to WSSIC.com and sign up. There is a way to register right on the website, or you can always call and talk to one of the lovely members of Winston's team at 971-333-1005. That's 971-333-1005. Out of all the topics that you're going to be speaking about, prepaid postage, revocation of election, and your authentication, the new information around that, what are you most excited to reveal for your upcoming event, Winston?
Well, I believe the thing that will probably be most useful will be the continuation of the authentication process in relationship to real estate. I think that will probably have the biggest impact. I mean, you know, being able to mail things for free and all that kind of stuff is interesting, but it's very important because, it proves that everything is prepaid. I mean, if the post office says it is, then it must be true, huh?
They have a special role in the United States, our post offices, yes.
Yeah, it does. And so I would say probably, you know, that the authentication, moving on with that, these other elements that we'll be talking about, you know, are certainly ancillary to that. And so our main emphasis would be with. And then we're going to talk about some other interesting things, such as revocation of election. You know,
right.
People understand. People certainly, but this time should understand that they volunteered into the income tax system. And if you volunteered in, can you not volunteer out? And the answer is yes. Duh. Right. And so I think people will be probably pretty interested in that too. So, but like I say, we've got some important solutions that we'll be talking about this time. So we certainly welcome everybody to come on out.
Well, Winston, it is always such a pleasure to speak with you. You are always uncovering a treasure trove as it arrives on this planet and keeping people tuned in and up to date and just keeping them vital and secure in themselves. And that is such a gift that you bring.
Well, the times, they are a-changing. If you want me to sing 2 or 3 verses, I will. But let me just say, the times, they are a-changing. And we're going into a new paradigm. We're going into a new mindset, you know. And so these little Band-Aids or these little tools that we use in commerce certainly would liberate people so they could move further and further into their true existence.